Razabani for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. It won't be a big fight night without the main man himself, the hitman Hatton. Ricky, good to see you. How are we doing?
Yeah, great. Looking forward to it. Good night of boxing ahead. I've got my another night of boxing ahead the following week in obviously Gibraltar, where my son Campbell makes his professional debut. But I'm down here this week with middleweight Bradley. He's got a tough 8-rounder against Lee Cutler. They're both unbeaten. So that's what I'm here for, and obviously a world title fight to top the bill again. So yeah, it's happy days. Yeah.
Before we speak about Bradley and Lee Cutler, how are you finding the bubble, the games room, the media centre? The buffet's even good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the third one I've been to now. I think I've been to 4 all in all. But Matchroom do a very good job. They appreciate that you've got to be in your room 24 hours doing until you get the results of your COVID test. But then when you do come out, it's I quite enjoy the bubble. It's not as hard work as what people think. You know, they've got a games room there. You can have a game of darts. You can have a game of pool. You know what I mean? There's a PlayStation on. They even put movies on there. And when you come down in the lounge here, you know, you're seeing boxers you've not seen for years, and trainers and managers, and you know, and stuff like that. So it's only a couple of days, and to be honest, I find it quite enjoyable, really. But I think that's down to Matchroom because the way they've put the format out. I mean, you can even get your ears lowered in the back here. Look now, so it's you can't ask for much more than that, yeah.
I know it's been tough the last year or so with this whole pandemic, but has it been even tougher for people like Bradley and Lee who fight on the small horse shows that are...
Very much so. I think, a lot of people, you know, when you haven't got a contract as such, you know, and you rely on, and you're on like a ticket deal, if you like, you know, where it depends on, you know, how many tickets you sell, you know, but if no crowds are turning up, you know, these lads are not fighting, and not just Brad and Lee, there's so many up and down the country here, there and everywhere that just, you know, until they open the crowds up, they're not going to get an opportunity to fight. So the opportunity came along for Brad and Lee, and they're both kept in shape. They've obviously both kept in the gym, and they're both in a position to take it with both hands. And where it leads on to from here is, I think, you know, this is an 8-rounder, but the winner of this will put himself right into English title contention. You know, so it's a very big fight for both. But I mean, if they had to accept it in many ways, because you know, there's no real urgency for crowds to start opening up. The poor lads might not have fought till September, October. So fair play to them for taking the fight. But I think a lot of people are in that position now. I think bigger fights are being made quicker and sooner, aren't they? Because I think because of the lockdown, I think it's just being demanded more. Yeah.
How good has Bradley looked in the gym? I know you obviously keep close eyes on him. You don't actually train him, but obviously you keep close eyes on him. But both are undefeated, both got great amateur records, both have won national titles as well, so it looks like a great promising fight.
It is a great fight. 2 good kids, do you know what I mean? They've sparred together, they've worked together in the past. But Bradley, I mean, I'm obviously going to be, obviously he's from our camp, he's trained by Brad Lewis, and I work Blaine Eunice, and I work with him as well. So and the job that Blaine's done on him, and how he's come on and progressed from a strength point of view and a technical point of view, it's dead easy saying. We all say it the same when a fight comes up. He's in the best shape he's ever been, and I'm not just saying it for the sake of it, you know. But he is. He's never looked as good. He's never looked as strong. He's done the weight. Look at the size of him for the weight. He's absolutely, I kid you not. He's walked it, and I think we're going to see that to him, even though he's a tall, you know, long type. You know, his work up close, his work at a distance. He's got a good all-round style, technique. So I think the fans are going to be impressed with Brad Saturday night. And but it's no foregone conclusion. I mean, on paper it is a 50-50, genuine 50-50 fight. It's just I have the luxury of working with Brad day in, day out, and I've just seen how he's slipped a few gears, certainly in the lockdown. Yeah.
Rick, main event, Okolie attempts his first world title against Glowacki. What is it like when you've been there, going through those motions of knowing that it's your first world title fight? You want to win the fight as well. You don't want to just take part, you actually want to win. What's the feeling like going into fight weekend and 24 hours just before?
Yeah, well, sometimes he's not impressed, hasn't he? And I mean, for the ability he's got, you know, he's got the ability. I mean, like against the fellow he's fighting now, you know, I mean, he's got a puncher's chance with a fella, and he's a former world champion himself, you know, but he is at the veteran stage. And I think if you look at, Okolie, he's got everything in his armoury. He's got the height, the reach, the boxing ability, the brain. Do you know what I mean? I think, and the only chance his opponent's got is that puncher's chance. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say, well, if he gets lucky with that puncher's chance, no, they don't get you lucky. If you're the better man with the better talent, you make the mistakes. They don't get lucky. And I think if he boxes a sensible fight, he's come on really well under Shane McGuigan. And I think if he listens to the tactics, sticks to his game plan, and I think when this kid can punch a bit, and he will put him under pressure. But I think generally when he gets put under pressure, I'm thinking it might be the best out of him. So I think it's one of them where he could probably win on points. Yeah. Pretty clearly, if he does what we know he's capable of.
Rick, I'll ask you, it looks like it's edging closer and closer. A man you know very well, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It looks like it could happen this summer. I know they've signed certain things and still a couple of things to iron out, but a great fight for British boxing.
I think the biggest fight in British boxing history. I really do. I think to have the two best heavyweights in the division in the prime, at the top of the game, I think. It's a fight that had to happen for British boxing, and I know there's a few speed bumps along the way. What with the COVID, and it's such a big fight, with rival promoters and TV channels and that. I think what with the COVID, I think we thought that are we going to get this over the finishing line? Is it actually going to happen? But finally, that they both signed to it. They both agreed to it. That's great news for British boxing. If this fight hadn't happened, it would have been a tragedy for our sport in this country. It would have done. How can we not have that fight happen? And in an ideal world, we'd like it to be in England and Wembley and stuff like that. But I mean, until we know where we're at come the summertime, I think that will be the last thing that will be agreed on, where it actually takes place. Because ideally, we want it in England, don't we? The biggest British fight in boxing history. We want it in England, but if it's not the case, the main thing is the boxing fans all over the world are seeing the main fight out there that they want to see, which is Fury and Joshua.
Did you have any doubts? We know in the past yourself, Witter, Calmbrook is not going to happen. Did you have any doubts that this fight wasn't going to take place?
Very much so. I mean, I think it can always be the case that fights like this don't happen. But I think, Tyson deserves to be recognised as the number one in the division with his performances against Wilder. He never lost the belts in the ring when he did lost them. But AJ has obviously, he'd lost his belts, he regained his belts, and he's looked better since he's regained his belts, in his latest outing. So, Tyson deserves to be probably top of the tree. No disrespect to AJ, but I think it's one of them. You've just got to say, listen, let's split it, everything down the middle. You know what I mean? Give AJ the respect he deserves, and give Tyson the respect he deserves. I'm thinking sometimes big fights don't happen when everyone's nitpicking over the last little bit. Who gets the extra squeeze? And I think I'd like to think when they've come to agreement, they've probably said 50-50. Listen, let's get the fight on. It's what the fans want. We'll just split so everyone gets a share of the pie. I think that's what's probably happened, which I think is probably the sensible thing for both the boys.
Rick, you've been during your career, there were times where you were out of the ring for a considerable amount of time. Joshua's fought in December. Fury hasn't fought since last February. So by the time Fury gets in the ring, it could potentially be 18 months. How much risk factor is it for Fury and advantage there for Joshua?
Well, I think the fact that Fury's had a longer gap out, I think, would normally be. But I know from personal, he's stayed in the gym. He's kept on top of things. He's training in Morecambe. Near his house, he's got a gym in his house now. He's kept on top of things, and I think it wouldn't affect Tyson because he lives a healthier life now. He's looking after his body. He's training. He's keeping on top of things. I don't see it making that big a difference. I mean, when you're in top and bottom of it, you look how long Tyson had out and what he was doing to himself while he was out. His trouble with mental health, depression, suicide, drink, drugs, and all that. And he had that out. And look what he come and did to Wilder after just two little comeback fights. So I think the fact that he's had a longer time out than AJ, I don't think it will make a difference. I do pick Tyson Fury to win, but since AJ's last fight, it makes me think a little bit closer because he boxed a very, very clever fight. AJ showed he can adapt, which we knew all along, really. But I mean, since his defeat from Ruiz, he's shown that he can. you know, there's a lot more to him, and it's made me look at it. You know, I'm not quite sure at the minute. I still go for Tyson, but I think the way AJ's come back since he lost the belts and how he's won his fights, I think shows that it's not as easy as what we first thought.
You were in the corner in the first fight. The tactics were quite evident. Tyson's usual style, southpaw, orthodox, jab and move. In the second fight, he took it to Wilder. Can he imply those tactics on Joshua, or is Joshua just too big and hits too much combination?
I would advise him to, because Wilder is a punching machine, but and so is AJ. But AJ's a very good boxing brain, very good boxing ability. You know, you don't get an Olympic gold and the undisputed champion of the world by not having a fantastic IQ boxing brain, and that's what AJ's got. So I think, Wilder is not as hard as he hits. He punches a bit wild, he punches a bit round the houses, and even as tall as Tyson is, he found he could sit in and punch up close and that. But I don't know. I think maybe he might go to a little bit of the old Tyson against AJ, particularly early on, and then if he starts to get a foothold of it, then he might put his foot down in the manner which he did against Wilder in the second fight. But no, I think they don't be. You can't. There's no kidding about it. These two fellas respect themselves so well. I don't think Tyson will go out that gun ho this time against AJ. You know what I mean? He's got to show him the respect he clearly deserves.
We saw Roy Jones, Mike Tyson do an exhibition. It looks like Mike Tyson and Holyfield are going to do a trilogy. Any thoughts about doing an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather, earning a few million?
I'd do an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather, but as long as that referee wasn't in place again. But no. I mean, it seems seems going to be all the rave, because I mean, what Roy Jones and Mike Tyson did was, it was what it was. You know what I mean?
2 million buys at $49.99.
Yeah, it was what it was, but it was good value for money. I think the fans enjoyed it. When you look at the bad times that Mike Tyson's had, I mean, to come back and to do what he did and put that performance on, I think it's inspiring. So I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. And if anybody fancies a roll around with me, yeah, I'll be up for that, yeah.
A roll around.
That's what we call it in Manchester, yeah.
Ricky Hatton, always a pleasure. All the best Saturday night with Brad, and we'll catch up with you soon. Ricky Hatton, IFL TV, thank you very much.